Ideal professionals video tutorials, customizing and designing IFRS reports, review of chart of account, customization, design IFRS report. We're going to talk about, it's formerly called balance sheet, but now it's called statement of financial position. So let's go to Sage 50. From Sage 50, we will go to list. We now select our chart of account. This is our chart of account. For our statement of comprehensive income, that is the P&L account, we have revenue, other income, share of profit of associate. We also have cost of sales, distribution cost, admin cost, and the account type. Also, then we also have our fixed asset. It's no more called fixed asset, it's called non-current asset. So, but we will make sure that all the names of our account, because the way our chart of account is, that's the way our financial statement will appear. So the first thing to do is to make sure that when creating your chart of account, you have to align it with IFRS standard. So I haven't done this. I haven't gone through the chart of account. We can now close this and go to report and forms. Then we select financial statement. Then for financial statement, we select financial statement wizard. This financial statement wizard will guide you through the design of a new financial statement. During this process, you can specify the following. So we click on next. Balance sheet, you can also customize our GL account summary, income 2 years, income statement, and so on. So let's leave it at balance sheet. The name, you can call it statement of financial, let's abbreviate, position. Description, you can say statement statement of financial position showing assets, liability, and equity in compliance with IFRS. I will say next. The company name, can now change this, write it in full. Statement of financial position. You can also clean this if you like. You can leave it. You can also insert any other heading that we want, like company name, address 1, address 2. Okay, let me insert, we have address, let me insert this address 2. That's the address. So I can now click on next. Click on next. Now say next. I can also change the font. Let's click on. Continue at TW, send M, regular, and increase it to 12. Then I'll say okay. The same thing as the other two, that is the name of my financial statement, regular, 12. I'll click on OK. So I can do that for others also. Now say next, then next. Display your financial statement. I'll say finish. Now they show zeros. Say OK. So this is the address. We have still of financial position. 31st January 2013, 13 Oko Street. Then assets. Then we also have our current assets. Then we have our fixed asset also. We have other assets. Then we have current liability. But the way this financial statement is appearing, I'm not so contented with it. This asset, I want you to come here to the left hand side. Even this capital, I want to be equity and to come to the left hand side. I also want the current assets to be under, while the property, plant and equipment, goodwill asset should form under non-current asset and should be up. And when you scroll down, I want my capital to be equity. This ought to be total equity. So how will I go about all this? I need to select design. So design options. In design options, we have text, we have column, we have line, we have total, we have cut, we have copy, we have paste. So if I select text body, for instance, I can click on up or down to move it. I can click down, it's bringing it down. I can click on up to bring it up. And I can also double click. So I double click, it will now tell me I can change the name from assets to any other thing. You can type any other thing I want to type. So I'll press delete. I can also align it. I can also align to the center, right, and I can also align to the left. So I click on left. I can also change the font. My TM regular 12. I'll say OK. Now say OK. So it has now come to the left. I don't want property, plant and equipment to be there. I want to change it to non-current asset, and I want it to be up. So I can just click on this place. That is to bring this property up. I will now click on up, 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 up. So I also click on this to bring this amount up, the subtotal. Click on, and also click on this, so take it up. So I don't want other asset. So I can just click on cut to delete it. What I want is non-current asset and current asset. So I can also click on this to cut it. So it's now leaving me with these two options: property and equipment and current asset. So to now rename this non-property and equipment, I can now double click. Now I'll now write non-current asset. Let's change the font. Regular 12. I want to change the color. I want to leave it as black. So I'll say OK. Now I'll say OK. I'll do that for this also. I'll double click here. I'll now change the name. Total non-current asset. Change the font. My TM regular 12. Say OK. Now say OK. Can I change this? Double click. Change the format. TW regular 12. OK. I'll click on OK. I can change the font of my current asset. I can also give it a space down. Turn it up. Bring this one down. Select this. Bring it down. Then select this and bring it down. So now say, you can double click on it to change the font. TW regular 12. OK. OK. To change the font also, double click, select font, regular 12. OK. OK. Next I have my total current asset. To increase the font, double click, select font, regular 12. OK. OK. To increase the last one, total assets, I click here also and double click, GM regular 12. OK. OK. So you can now save. You say save. I'll say want to variable the existing years. So I'll make some changes. So you can now check our report now. Let's click on preview. I'll say OK. So this is the change that we have made so far. Now our assets, non-current assets, all our assets, then the total of non-current assets, then also our current assets, the current assets, then the total assets. And our asset is by the left hand side. It's no more at the right hand side. If you check the font, we have not yet adjusted the font for this. They are still small. So the same way we did for the assets, we did also for the liability, and we'll bring it to the left hand side and change it to equity. So we can also remove this address by selecting here and click on cut. Next thing you want to do is for the liability and capital. You select it. If you don't double click, you can just select property. Say the same thing. They'll change this to equity. Equity. Then select the center to be left. Then you say OK. So select, double click, current liability, can change the font, TM12. OK. Now click on OK. And I want my capital to be up. So I'll select this. I'll click up, 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 up. And the next one also, select here. I'll go up. The next one, I'll click up. And the next one, I'll click up. Now I want to change this to equity. Instead of capital, I'll double click. I'll write equity. Change the font. So this is how to design your financial statement. Also increase the font of the numbers. I'll change the total equity. Let's double click and right here, total equity. Change the font also, TW. Okay. We also have overline style. We have single and we also have double. We have none. Let's see. Total equity. Okay. Let's change this to total liability and capital. So instead of capital, I want to put equity. Equity. Then let's change the font. As usual. Say OK. Say OK. So that's how to design a financial statement to comply with IFRS. You have the property, text, column, line. Change the format, TM. Say OK. Say OK. So there's the line description over here. So I have a line description here. I'll change it. So I have this text to print with total. Let me try something. Let me put the capital letter N and see where it will appear. Let me say okay. It's appearing here. So let me double click on it again. Let me see. Let me see right. Say this as usual. Say okay. Let me say okay. No. And double click again. Let me remove this print with report. Select this, none. Select this, get this double underline. See this also. Say cancel. So I say okay. Have special character, so a special code name. Say okay. Okay. I'll press cancel. Let me press N. I'll say okay. So this way is appearing. This is the end that's appearing over here. So that is how to design your financial statement. We can also export to Excel, to PDF. We also have options. There are options to select the period, time frame, or the range. Is it 2 months, 1 month, 6 months, 12 months? Select the period. So on period 1, first period of the 12th period. So cancel. So I have the setup. That setup, you want it to be as a letter, have extra notes, so on and so forth. You want to be portrait or landscape, so that is the page setup. Say okay, and so on and so forth. If you want to print, you want to save, so on and so forth. I haven't done all the designing. This is our final result. Assets, non-current assets, property, goodwill, investment and associates, available for sales, financial assets, current assets, we have our total assets, then we also have our equity and liabilities, equity distributable to owners of the parent, share capital, retained earnings, other component of equity, non-controlling interest, net income, total equity, non-current liability, long-term borrowings, deferred tax, long-term provisions, total non-current liability. Current liability, we now have trade and other payables, short-term borrowings, current portion of long-term borrowings, but it couldn't contain everything, so you have to abbreviate it to B, that is borrowings. The current tax payable, short-term provision, and total current liability. We also have our total equity. So this is our statement of balance sheet. According to IFRS, I have designed it to reflect IFRS requirements. In this tutorial, we talked about reviewing chart of account to reflect IFRS specifications. Let's talk about customization. The first thing to do is to go to financial statement report. From report, we selected financial statement wizard to create our own financial statement in line with IFRS. We talk about designing of statement of financial positions. I hope this has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing. You can also reach us on the number 080 22 49 1792, or check our website www.idprofessionals.com.